It's only been a week.
Yes.
Hello and welcome to Grace of Westminster live stream. Hope all of you are well. It's Halloween. It's October 31st. We obviously dressed up. What's your Halloween costume, Gray?
First of all, spooky, good evening, good afternoon, and wherever you are, welcome. What was the question?
What's your Halloween outfit for today, Gray?
Well, just as I am, really. But I did have a Halloween experience once.
Okay.
You can either hear it now or you can hear it
I
later.
want to hear it now, but in the meantime, please let me know how is the audio and video quality. Can you see us and can you hear us? Okay. Please go, Gray.
Well, I was up in Seattle, in Washington State, and a couple of friends of mine had gone into a store to buy something, and I was outside smoking a cigarette, and a couple went past who were obviously the worse for wear for drugs, and one of them turned back to me and said, "Hey, man, you're Alice Cooper, aren't you?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Come on, Alice, I know it's you." And he "Dude, it is you." And I said, "No." And as much as I tried to convince him, and then I said to him, "Alice Cooper's American, right?" And he went, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I'm from London." And he goes, "Oh, man, I'm so sorry." And his girlfriend kept saying, "Hey, dude, come on, leave the man alone. He's obviously not Alice Cooper." Anyway, they went away. A few minutes later, he came back and said, "You really are Alice, aren't you?" And so eventually his girlfriend took him off. About a week later, I'm back in Los Angeles, and I'm walking into the local supermarket to buy something or the other, and I'm in the aisle, and two guys went past the end of the alleyway and went, "Alice!" Put their thumbs up, and I just waved at them. And about a month or 6 weeks later, I got invited to this big event in Los Angeles in the Biltmore Hotel. And I was sitting at this table, and there were a lot of fancy people in the audience. Mark Hamill was there from, Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, and people from Star Trek and the movie. John Landis was there.
All the nerds.
All the nerds, that's right. Number of actors and actresses. And every now and then, out of the corner of my eye, I could hear or see, people nudging and pointing in my direction. I look away, and I look over, and they look away. And at one point, I leaned over to the person next to me. I said, "Why do all these people keep nudging me?" And they said, "They think you're Alice Cooper." And I mean, I had really quite long hair and an earring in those days, and so we were coming up to Halloween. And I'd been invited to a Halloween party. And I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go as Alice Cooper. So I got a photograph of Alice, who incidentally has been in this building in the basement. And, I got my girlfriend to do makeup and everything on me. And I turned up at this party. I knocked on the door and went in. And everybody said, "Who are you supposed to be?" So, obviously I didn't need the makeup. But anyway, that's my Halloween experience.
Thank you, Alice. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is that the smoky eyes that gave it away?
I don't know.
Thank you, everyone, for confirming that video and audio is okay. Hello, Tadeusz, Andy, Simon, who also has us, he's going to tell us the story how photography helped him, and we're going to cover this in a bit. We got Nigel, Randall in the chat, Colin Murphy, Rolf, Nick Harrison, Trevor Rodkin, Tadeusz, Len Oshman, Warren Devine, John Rayleigh, Jim Orsetti, Richard Holland, Jay Blue is in the chat as well, Rick Getty, who is back from Southern California, John Hughes, Robert M., Personnelman. Thank you, David Mascora, everyone, Terence, who joined us today. Today we going to talk about how photography helped you in your life. And we kind of had discussion with Gray before the live stream, because obviously some of us do photography as a hobby, some of them do photography as a professional work. And I think what we want to hear is your stories from different angles. Obviously, if you're a professional photographer, you could tell us what kind of skills you taught yourself, not just the photography wise, but maybe it's a business skills, maybe it's communication skills. And obviously, if you are a hobbyist, you can tell us the stories about how photography helped you in life. Maybe it helped you to heal. Maybe it helped you to deal with certain things in your life. All sorts of things we want to hear from you. And I guess, Gray, if you can tell me how photography helped you in your life, and then I guess it will kind of help a lot of people to share their stories as well.
Sure. Well, I guess, a number of things, really. It gave me an appreciation of people, and it enabled me to meet people I would not otherwise have met.
That's true.
And it took a somewhat shy, retiring, would rather be in a room reading a book than doing anything else. And it took me out of myself and sort of forced me to go out. And the more I took, and the more people I kind of got to know, and my communication improved, and my shyness sort of began to evaporate. Because you suddenly realized, or I suddenly realized that if I was doing a shoot, there had to be someone in charge. And sort of placing people and objects into a space and trying to create an image. And I met other photographers too, and I've been very fortunate in working as a photographer here and in California, in Los Angeles, and but also working in the retail trade. I was very fortunate to have met a lot of the good and the great of photography, and hearing their stories, which I always found fascinating. Really, from people like Bailey, who I mentioned, I think, last week, and people like Terence Donovan and Cornell Lucas, and people of that ilk, and now latterly, people like Jim Brandenburg,
of course,
and Joe McNally and Moose Peterson, and just the list goes on and on. We're very fortunate at Grays of Westminster that over the years we've had a number of photographers, some famous, some not so famous, but breathtakingly good at their subject. So, the one thing I noticed with them all is with the exception of one or two, it was a complete lack of arrogance. They always seem very, very happy to tell you their stories.
That's true.
So it has it helped me immensely, really, and also I ended up here, really, and every day you never know what to expect, which is a wonderful thing.
That's true. That's true. Please share your photography story and how photography helped you. We'll start with Simon Ma, who says, photography has helped me appreciate little things in life, like macro, and focusing on things that really matter in life, and gets me outdoors, capture nature's amazing colors during all seasons. It's true. Some of us work in the office, and they go to work Monday to Friday, they jump on a train, they go to the office, and they never look up and just slow down. And I think one of the things that photography does is kind of lets you just wander around sometimes in a city that you've been a million times, like London, but you don't appreciate it anymore because you just live here, you're not a tourist anymore. And having camera in your hand sometimes, kind of lets you slow down, stop, look up at the buildings. Becky always wanted to do this tour on our YouTube, as a live stream on our YouTube channel, which was, I think, a square mile tour of London.
Yes.
And sharing all the stories with you. So I think, yeah, I agree with you, Simon. It is one of the things that sometimes in life life is too busy where we don't appreciate every single minute of it.
True. In fact, you just reminded me of something when you were talking about square mile. I was watching something last night on my computer, and apparently you can now walk from the Battersea Power Station all the way along the river, along the path, all the way to the Thames Barrier.
They've done it. It took them a while.
You knew about this?
Well, I lived opposite Battersea Power Station. I lived right near Battersea Cats and Dogs, and there was no tube station at the time.
No.
And this whole thing took them, 15 years to redo everything. There's a tube station now, and this whole area, obviously there's American Embassy there now as well, towards Vauxhall. And it's incredible. So yeah, if some of you visit in London, before we would say start with Westminster Bridge and then go towards the Tower Bridge. But now you can literally go to Battersea and either walk all the way along the river, or you can take a boat as well. I think they call them Uber boat nowadays, but...
they do. There's the old Thames Clipper line.
That's right. I still, I don't know, it's like those bikes, Lime bikes, I still call them Boris bikes because that's the time, and now they're like Santadel, Barclays bikes. Yeah. Okay, well, let's have a look at more of your comments in the chat here. Warren Divine, happy birthday. He said, today is my birthday. Good morning from Indiana, Nikon owners. Well, Warren, I hope you're going to have a wonderful day today with lots of friends and family around. Happy Halloween to everyone, says Jim Orsetti. Thank you very much. Jay Blue, who says happy Halloween Friday to Kon and Alice Cooper. I just didn't want to spoil the surprise, guys.
Yeah, remember, school's out forever.
And then Rick is back from Southern California. John Hughes is saying hello from Yorkshire. He says, I chose photography, find myself working studios, photographing all sorts of things, making TV ads to model kit, things at Airfix and more. I just love taking image and processing. I mean, obviously photography you don't just find photography, randomly in your life. You kind of, you find yourself interested in it, and then there's a moment of picking up your camera or your father's camera, your family's camera, and taking photographs. From my point of view, I think what you've said, meeting people, it's absolutely amazing. And also, obviously, meeting you, Gray, working in a retail environment, meeting people, learning customer service and communication helps immensely. Working as a professional photographer with clients helps immensely with communication skills as well. And then, yes, if you have to have assistant or some people working around it, especially like something on fashion shoots, you're going to have a crew, you have wardrobe artists, makeup artists, all sorts of things, art directors, just learning how to work as a group. Sometimes it's very difficult because in a way, as you say, a lot of people, they're all fine. You just need to find a way to communicate with them. And sometimes it's the breaking that barrier where people not sure how to communicate with each other is very important. I think being in the photography business taught me that.
Yes. No, I think that's, I think you've put your finger on the nub, actually, that it helps you break down barriers. The other thing is that I've noticed is, over the years, I've spoken to hundreds, if not thousands, of people, and a number of them would say to me, I cannot wait for retirement. And depending on what field they're in, usually within a very short space of time, retirement tends to disagree with them because when they're not producing, their morale goes down. But if you're a photographer, it doesn't matter whether you're retired or not. You can still go out.
That's true.
And it's a bit like if you played an instrument, if you played the keyboards or something like that, you will always be able to have an audience. You will always be able to do something that you enjoy, that's fulfilling. That's true. And being creative, you're testing yourself, and you're your own best judge, really.
So working in a camera store, owning a camera store and running a photography business, retail business, do you find yourself every now and then taking camera in your hand and going for a stroll down Pimlico?
Yeah. I do actually, and it's good. You know, I look back, and you know, here's the thing. A couple of years ago, when actually I go back further. I lived in Scotland for a number of years until my wife passed away, and then I moved to America. But when I lived there, we had this beautiful Welsh Border Collie, Magic Sam, and he was an extraordinary dog, and black and white, as you might understand. And when I left for America, I left him with some friends, and in fact, his mother, Sam's mother, was their dog. So he wasn't going to strangers, and he had these vast forest and land that they lived in to live on. And it suddenly struck me a few years ago when Gillian said to me, "Have you got any pictures of you and your dog?" And I realized I didn't have any at all that I could find. And then an old friend of mine called Kathy Burton, who used to live a couple of doors down from me in a cottage, sent me over some negatives and said, "Have a look at these." And there were a load of shots that she'd taken on her Nikon of me in the late 70s with Sam wandering around the vast estate we did in the Scottish borders. And it was such a thrill. And I thought, I'm always saying, make sure you take a camera, record these things in your life. And I hadn't done it then with Sam, or got someone to do it. And I'd actually completely forgotten this shoot. But I'm so grateful to Kathy, because I've got hold of these shots of Sam, who, died many years ago now. But I remember him with great affection and love. He was a wonderful companion, and we would go on long photographic walks together.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story, Gray, and it's true. Sometimes we just don't have time to record our life, and then time just goes away, and then we don't have any photographs.
No, that's right. In fact, I've not got that many photographs of my parents either, and I wish I had. Really.
There was a whole culture for the albums. Yes. Where, like my parents and, would have those albums, and, they either would glue the images or would have some sleeves. Obviously, in the age of digital, people don't do this. They have millions photographs on their phones, and when you need to find that photo to show someone, you just buried in millions of those photographs, so you can't find it. And it's one of the things that I definitely want to do myself. And obviously now technology is so good, we can actually, if you spend time, we can do photo books even instead of photo albums. But I think it's one of the things that is on my bucket list, maybe for 2026, just to bring, to start even, I was just thinking, but maybe start something with the year I met my wife, and then maybe try to kind of record our trips into the books. But also, my parents still have lots of negatives that haven't been scanned. So I do want to ask them at some point to send them to me and just scan everything.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
In fact, you reminded me of that there is a photo book that, was it Pablo created when
he did.
Rafi arranged a barbecue at his place. Rafi, as some of you may know, sort of runs the sales department for Nikon Owner magazine, and once a year, he and his other half, Alison, would throw this big barbecue, and we would all go around. And Pablo had taken all these shots, and he made it into a photo book, and I thought we should have done this a number of times with all the events we've had over the years.
That's true. Well, every year we take a group shot of Grays at Christmas. So we need to do this here, just not to forget. But there's definitely we've done that. It would be interesting just to see how we all aged, or not to see.
I've got a painting in the attic.
All right, let's look at the comments in the chat here. Len Oshman says, photography helped me to create, meet people, push myself. I've met so many great people through photography. Thank you, Len. AJ says, I got back to my old hobby after a months-long hospital stay. It has helped me. It has helped my mind, body, and soul. It actually has improved my movement and strength, as well as my outlook on life.
Bravo.
Fantastic, AJ. That's brilliant. Eric Laurie says, Gray, you'd be great personality to feature on desert island discs. We'll start with Audible first, I think,
Thank you very much. That's kind of you.
Nick Harrison says, started pre-teen as a hobby. After many years as landscape architect, photography started to grow in my work. I now feel it as privilege meeting so many people, ordinary to higher profile. That's amazing, Nick. Thanks for sharing that. Andy says, lately I've been trying different genres of photography and appreciating some of the famous photographers such as Elliot Porter. Thanks, Andy. I think one of the best way to learn photography is actually trying to replicate the shot that other famous photographer took. Because, okay, if you're looking at, let's say, maybe studio or fashion photography, you can learn the lights inside of things. But if you look at, let's say, landscape photography, you will learn about how lens has been used, maybe tilt and shift lenses. So there's lots of certain things. But even training the eye and composition, things like this, helps immensely. So yeah, I always recommend people who, don't just read technical literature, but also buy some books by photographers, really. Any recent book that you bought that excited you? I know
photography books.
Photography book, yeah.
Just trying to think of the last one.
I know you were showing us all your cookbooks, but it's more of a collector's thing.
That's a collector's book. I've got various books in the library over there. I've got one which I really like. It's a number of years old now, but it's by Ken Reagan, the American photographer, who was the photographer on the Clint Eastwood film, The Bridges of Madison County, and has brought out a book of all his photographs that he took of behind the scenes, where he'd taught Mr. Eastwood how to use a Nikon F. And I said to him, because I think Clint Eastwood was using an FM or an FM2 at the time, so he had some familiarity with Nikon, and he just said to Ken, what's the philosophy of using a Nikon F? He says, like driving an old Ford T pickup truck. Which actually makes a lot of sense. So that book, which I will, it's just over there, and I think.
What shelf are we looking at?
I think it's the second shelf up.
Second shelf, yeah.
Yeah, and if you go to the right of that gold, come along. No, to your left. Stop. To your right.
This one.
To your right.
This is left.
Is that it?
Is that Stanley Kubrick?
No. One next, just before Stanley Kubrick.
The Bridges?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Thank you. This is called Hunt the Book. We do this every day, really. So this is the
teamwork.
and there's Clint Eastwood with Meryl Streep, who starred in the film. So it's a fantastic film, in my opinion. And it's... if you don't know the story, it's based on a book called The Bridges of Madison County, and talks about the arrival in this small town to photograph these bridges, which are covered wooden bridges in Madison County, by a National Geographic photographer called Robert Kincaid, the name of the person that Clint Eastwood portrayed. And what I later learned, and this is going to sound like terrible name dropping, but this is something Tom Cruise told me, that he had heard that that the character in the book was based on Jim Brandenburg. And it kind of bore out because about a year or so ago, I was talking to Jim. He rang me. He was working in the south of France. He was on the phone for about an hour and a half talking to myself and Gillian. And I happened to mention, do you know anything about it? And he said, yes, I do. He said, I used to work for this newspaper that was owned by the parents of the person who wrote The Bridges of Madison County. And one day he asked me to go out on a shoot with him. And he said, so I've heard all sorts of things over the years. So unfortunately, I was fortunate enough to get an invite to the British premiere of The Bridges of Madison County, and then to have got to know Jim over the years and become good friends, and really enjoying the book. It's extraordinary how these connections come around.
Indeed.
And in fact, it made me re-look at my old battered Nikon F and how much I enjoyed shooting with it.
It's interesting that sometimes we buy things and we're looking forward to buy these things. We read about it and research about it. It could be months, could be days, and then you buy it and you're excited about it for about a week, and then you're on to the next thing, if you see what I mean.
I absolutely do, because when I was living in Los Angeles for a while, I worked with a friend of mine called Virgil Wilhite, who had a big book business, and he ran it from his home. I used to feel sorry for his wife, because if you climbed the stairs to the top of the house, every stair had books piled up, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books, and so in the mornings I go in, and then people would say to you, do you have a book search service? And we would say yes. And he said, now what I'm looking for, let's say, for example, I would like a Raymond Chandler. I want a first edition, and it has to be in a dust jacket. And if possible, if at all possible, I would love it to be signed, not inscribed. I'd like it to be signed, and I'd like it to be perfect. Well, this is like finding a like new, an unused Nikon SP black in a box with motor drive, and they would ring you all the time. Have you found one yet? Have you found one yet? And their whole passion. And eventually, let's say you find it, you say, oh, they go, oh, fantastic, come in, and they buy it, and they're very excited, or you take it to their house, they look at it for a while, and they put it on the bookshelf, and they go, and it kind of disagreed with them. What they loved was the hunt.
That's true. So when you buy the photographic equipment, there's no refunds. You gotta keep it on. But actually, Seth Miranda kind of nailed it as well. So he said, photography has helped me burn a lot of money, sanity, and energy. And Nigel Sutton also says, photography has always helped me to reduce my bank balance. To help you to reduce your bank balance, Nikon started this promotion in UK and Europe. It's a winter save promotion where there's a lot of savings across Nikon Z lineup. I think it's like £800 off Nikon Z8. So there's a bunch of lenses. There's, I think, some DSLRs like the 850 and 780 there as well. This has just started. I think it goes till about end or mid of January. So yeah, if you were looking forward to reduce your bank balance by buying a very interesting piece of equipment that hopefully you will use on a daily basis, then definitely check out our website for all the deals. All right, so Gary Murphy says, photography helped me through stress and anxiety. Whilst working in London, I couldn't seem to leave work in the office, so thought it would be a nice idea to learn something new. Started my journey in 2018. Fantastic, Gary. Well, I hope you enjoyed, because we see you quite often in the shop. So hopefully, we are here to help. Alan McRae says, good morning from the US, Gray. I've been shooting Nikon for 56 years. One of my high points just walking around, as Kon just said, was visiting your store. Just amazing.
Oh, well, thank you very much indeed. That's so kind of you.
Thank you. Taryn says, as enthusiastic photographer of certain age, I enjoy photographing local events and wildlife at my local RSPB site. Attending Nikon owner meetings is a great way for me to learn new techniques.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing about Nikon Owner magazine is they do have groups around the UK which organize events.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, to get in touch with Katrin, and she can get you up to date on all that.
I think we've got a special on at the moment, haven't we?
Yeah, so we do have 25 digital subscription, £25. It's at nikonownershop.com, nikonownershop.com, and use the code called Kon Live, KONLIVE, to get the discount, and it's at nikonownershop.com. I think some of you reached out last week, say which code to use. Last week we didn't have any code; it was just straight in, and this week it's with a code.
And what's the reduction? What's it normally? Isn't it?
It's normally $49, so it's basically half price. Yeah, effectively.
The other thing is that once you get it, you can also download the last 85 issues free of charge. It's part of it, so you're not just getting, the 4 issues for the year electronically. You've got all those others, and there's some some wonderful stuff there, and particularly now, because there are so few magazines, and Nikon Owner can do things and feature equipment and have reviews on things that a conventional photographic magazine isn't able to devote the space to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's some of the covers behind us. I'm going to change all these for next week. Because Connor's been complaining
for about 2 years or so. No,
well, I only heard about it.
Not too great, no. But yeah, as Sharon says, world can be a quite lonely place, and I think if we can find like-minded people, like either, let's say, here when we talk to each other once a week, or let's say your local groups, photography groups, or any other hobbies that you do, I think it's very important. It's interesting how we have all sorts of words, like means of communication, and somehow a lot of us feel lonely as well. So, so I think, if photography helps you with that, meeting people and enjoying the art, then it's absolutely amazing.
Well, I've made some very good friends that started off as customers in the store, and people like Andrew Main Wilson, who now writes a regular feature for us in Nikon Owner, because of his decision he made well over 30 years ago to visit and photograph every country on Earth. I think he's at country number 179. The rest are pretty challenging places to go to because you may not ever come out alive. And Andrew has become, a good chum. And we've got a lot of them. We're very fortunate, really, aren't we?
Absolutely.
In that respect.
I mean, Jim Orsetti says, my experience is similar to Gray and meeting other people, minus the reseller part. It's effectively photography, as he says, is a visa to meet great people.
Wow, that's so true.
You don't need to pay any fees or apply for it. That's the thing. Dave Walker loves walk and photograph areas around him. He says, have walked, photographed much of Essex Thames Pass from Rainham all the way to Shoeburyness? Gray, how do you read this? This is too British. Shoeburyness. Shoeburyness?
It looks like Shoeburyness.
Shoeburyness, yes. Okay.
I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
It reads like Sainsbury's to me, so. All chance shoot in London, rare for me these days. Well, Dave, if you come into London, come and say hello to us. Gary Murphy says, funny you should say that, Gray, because photography is my retirement plan. Well, don't spend all at once. Nikon releases cameras and lenses every year. Pace it.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a marathon. Yeah. Toro Poco says, I've gotten to appreciate taking photos of my everyday experience. It's amazing how little things we see become memorable vignettes of daily life. Absolutely agree with you with that. And it's one of the things that we really don't appreciate daily things because they become mundane. I came to England over 20 years ago now. And I hated my town when I was growing up because everything looked the same. Then I came here and I got excited. And then every time I come back there, and I haven't been there since before COVID, so for 5 years already, I miss those things because I didn't appreciate them at the time. You know, that's the thing. And it's interesting, like even like looking at group of people that we had over the years. Every year, as Grace was mentioning, we have the best group. And then you look, let's say, people who left let's say last year or a couple of years ago as well. And we had a brilliant team. And I think, you know, again, being part of photography and a retailer business that sells, photographic equipment, meeting people. Again, I think that this is kind of goes through the whole live stream, isn't it? It's just meeting people, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's really lovely. There's, there's more plus points than minus points, really.
Absolutely. NGP says, I have been retired for 7 years. Photography has been a lifesaver. And 111 Undrik 11 says, always wear a camera with you. I absolutely agree with you. I mean, technically, we all wear a camera with us called your phone. So that's good news. But we forget to take pictures with it. And I know, obviously, I'd rather take pictures with a real camera. But sometimes when you need to document something, it's always handy to have. Craig says that border collies are the best. I'll always have one remind to point to a camera at us and our loved ones regularly. We are always just behind in the camera. That's true. That's true. I have so many photographs of my dog and my wife. I don't have many pictures of myself. I mean, most of them are out of focus.
Do you think that's a thing with photographers, that most of them don't really care to have their own pictures taken that often?
That's true. That's right. We don't know how to pose. We can guide people how to pose, but we don't know how to do it ourselves. So what's interesting to me. But the thing is, okay, I have pictures of me on my wife's phone. As soon as I pass her my camera, I'm always out of focus. The worst thing what happens is if it's a medium format camera and you got 10 shots in there.
Which one is it?
I've got my Mia 7 and it's a manual focus rangefinder. And obviously my wife, I tried to get her, I got her one of those ZDX cameras. Said, I've got you one, you got to take it. Had to sell it, just not interested, only with the phone. And obviously, if you try to explain a person who never used professional cameras before how to focus manually, especially with a rangefinder where you need to line up the punch, etc., it just doesn't work. So,
Absolutely. One of the questions I'd like is, what is your most daunting thing you've ever had to photograph? And I could start it off.
You can. I've got one.
You got one?
I've got one.
Well, this is years ago, and in this life, usually what you resist will end up on your doorstep. You say, "Oh, I'm never ever going to do it," and sure as hell's a mousetrap, it will turn up. And the one thing that I promised myself in my teens, when I was doing getting into photography and loving it and going out almost every weekend and every evening during the summer to take shots, was I never, ever wanted to become a wedding photographer because I just thought the pressure is too much. Anyway, I had two friends of mine, and Ruth and Tim, and they were getting married, and they were a pretty wild couple, and they said, we can't afford a photographer. So as your wedding present to us, could you take the photographs? But we want it on slide film, and we want it on Agfa CT18. And
that's very specific.
Very specific. I said, oh, please, anything. I'd rather get you 2 gifts. Please don't ask me to do it. And they went on and on and on. And they said, no, they'll be great. And I went, oh, okay. So I shot this couple of rolls of film, and part of the deal was you would send them to Agfa. Agfa would process them and mount them and send them back. And they both came back with a note from Agfa saying, "We deeply apologize. There was something wrong with the chemical batch."
Oh no!
And I lifted them up, and it was like the light show at an early Pink Floyd concert. It was just,
so it's got all the color shifted.
Yeah. You know, purples and swirls. It looks like someone had started flicking, paint at it.
When that was deep.
So I thought, what on earth am I going to do? What I'm going to have to do is go back to the church and re-mock up the wedding. But I thought, well, I'd better confront this. And I went round, very nervously. Even though it wasn't my fault, I was still incredibly apprehensive. And I said, look, there's something I have to tell you. And they said, no, just show us the slides. And Ruth picked it up and went, her mouth dropped open, you see. And I thought, and she handed it to him, and his mouth dropped. And they say, Gray, these shots, they're amazing. How do you know that we love psychedelia? How did you do it? You're a genius. I said, it's a gift. Sort of wiping the sweat from my brow. But they thought it was deliberate and absolutely loved it. And I've never said anything. I've never told them unless they're watching this now.
Since then, you're specialized in psychedelic wedding photography. It's a very niche, but
not the drunk wedding photographer. The
psychedelic,
psychedelic wedding photographer. Yeah.
So I wonder what happened there. I know that you can cross-process them in the standard colored, chemicals, but then you will get funky colors, but not that bad.
Yeah. So it went wrong with the batch, and. That was always the risk. Yeah,
that's true. But at least, the role wasn't blank. That you've done your work. That's the thing.
And then I went back to using Kodachrome 25, which became Kodachrome 2.
Absolutely. The proven film. Yeah. I had to photograph a newborn, and me being a bloke, not knowing how to handle the babies, that was very daunting for me.
And they all look like Winston Churchill.
That's right. Very angry as well, Lots of wrinkles. Yeah. But that was quite an interesting experience. And my wife is brilliant with babies and everything, because lots of her friends had babies and her sister had 3. So I had to ask her to help me, because I wouldn't even know how to hold the baby, because you need to hold it, and all that. So that was quite an interesting and daunting experience. I've done 2 more shoots after that, but I clearly realized that it's not the type of photography I want to do.
Doesn't speak to your depth.
Doesn't speak to me at all. But but that was when the first thing came up and I took it. And then I thought, why did I just do that?
Yeah.
So it was a fun experience. The good news is they were happy with the images. And that's a relief. They hired me again, luckily. Wow. So, but yes. Okay, so Terence Allen says, my first camera at tender age of 9 was blue and black plastic Diana Snappy, 120 roll film medium format. My father ran wartime photography club while on active army service, so something must have rubbed off. Incredible.
Is this Terence?
That's our Terence.
Hi, Terence.
Yeah, I mean, my first camera was my father's camera. I have that Zenith, and I don't remember the model name. It's E something. But what I fondly remember is I was probably about 4 or 5 years old. And me and my father were sitting in a tiny bathroom where he had an enlarger. And we were printing. We were doing black and white printing. So our bathroom, I can explain you, it was probably something like 2 square meters, where you have a washing machine on one side, then you have a bathtub, and you have a sink. So you got about maybe like 70 square centimeters of area where you can actually see it, and that's where it would be. Enlarger would be on the washing machine. And then all the little trays were in the bathtub.
Wow.
And I remember that because you go in the dark, and it's all exciting, and the light shines through the enlarger. That was absolutely amazing. It's one of the things, and then we would hang them, to dry. And I guess that could be my early memories of photography. And that could potentially, 10, 12 years later, where I started to be interested in photography as an art. Who knows? Andy says, I started when my aunt let me use her 1959 first issue Nikon F. She was a great aunt, Andy. Ian says, I've had some time of work and it's allowed me to have the time to look at my old photographs over 40 years ago. That brought back memories and reminded me why I take photographs. How often do you look at your albums, photography albums?
Well, it depends, because I've got them stored on various hard drives, but mostly I'm looking for things I can put in Nikon owner magazines. So it's only occasionally, like it was someone's birthday the other day, and I decided to create a moon pig card. And so I was going back through photographs of this person's life and using those images. So that was rather fun, because I'd forgotten so many of them. Oh, actually, while we're on the subject, it would be very helpful, if you haven't already, if you would give us a like and give us a subscribe, because these it helps our channel enormously if you do that. That one, we'd be very grateful.
Yeah, we're gonna hit 30K sometime in November. We are on the finish line. We need about maybe 70 subs or so. So we're going to hit 30,000.
Wow. That's
It's a big one.
It is.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
So you could be that person.
You could.
Yeah. Trevor Rodkin says, at the age of 11, I was given a Brownie Cresta 3 camera. When I saw how photograph could record so much details and to capture the moment in time, I was hooked.
The Brownie Cresta. Was that an American?
Kodak Brownie, I assume so.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing. I know the name from somewhere, the Cresta name.
Andy says that his aunt's Nikon F was serial number 100. So 100 at the beginning. So that's the early one. When they started 1006, is that?
They started 64.
64.
00001.
I see.
In July 1959.
Ah, okay. So serial number 100. So it could be 600100.
It's 60000100.
Yeah.
If you've got number 100, you've got a real rarity. If it begins with a 64 block, it's rare to say the least. And probably, not absolutely certain, it might even be before they started using a titanium shutter. It might even have a cloth shutter.
Close shutter.
I would have a check, and you can always email me direct, Gray, Gray at grayswestminster.co.uk. I'd love to see some pictures.
Gray also takes complaints about me as a YouTube personality.
Oh,
so
the file is so thick.
Exactly, exactly. AJ says, my first camera was Argus C3, aka the Brick, all manual, guessed at exposure, did my own processing. Now I am fortunate to own a Z8. John Hughes says, I did love Nikon F. It was a great camera. David Boy says, I have lovely family photos going back 1898. Wow, 1898. And document them through old age. I will travel to Hampstead with my brother soon and copy a photo of my great-grandfather standing outside of an old coach. That's incredible. I wish I would have photographs like this. What is the earliest photograph that you have of your family?
I think it was my father when he was serving in the Royal Air Force, and he was in El Alamein, and there was photographs of him there, and there was also he climbed into an abandoned German tank, but it was booby-trapped and it blew up.
Oh dear.
And he spent quite a long time in hospital, and due to the shrapnel in his leg. And also my mother, I think she was in the Girl Guides. I got some pictures of her with things, but those are probably the youngest. And the youngest one is of me with my grandfather. And I think me on a blanket and looking very, very curious. What about you?
I think the earliest I've seen probably would be my parents as kids. So, but I wish we'd have a longer, records. But yeah, I think like my grandparents being fairly young with newborns, so that's probably not many color photographs. Lots of black and white.
I had an interesting experience recently, and I wonder if you'd do me a favor. You see those vinyl albums at the top of there?
Let me see. Yeah.
There's one, I think, on the far left. Yeah, that's the one. This is a photographic story.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So...
All right. You got to hear this.
So, the first band I ever saw play live was a Southampton-based band called the Soul Agents. But they were soul, not Tamla Motown soul, but soul like blues. They were doing a lot of blues numbers, as was the sort of fashion at the time with people like, the Yardbirds and the early Rolling Stones. They were doing old Muddy Water stuff and things like that, and Lightning Hopkins. And I first of all, and I got to know their keyboard player, a phenomenal artist called Daunting. And I went to see them a number of times, and they were going to be playing a gig in my hometown of Bournemouth. And Don said, are you coming along to this, the Disco-Go-Go on Holderness Road in Bournemouth? And I said, yes. They said, well, we're going to be in the Metropole bar opposite. So I went in, and I couldn't see their lead singer. His name was Johnny Keepin. I said, where's Johnny? And he said, he's not in the band any longer. And he was a great singer. He's joined his parents' painting and decorating business. I said, that's a shame. They said, no, we've really got a great singer. Let me introduce you. And he turned around and he said, Gray, I'd like you to meet Rod Stewart. And who was a complete unknown to me, really. And we sat around, and after I'd bought a couple of drinks, I didn't actually have any money left to go to the club. But Rod Stewart said, don't worry, we'll smuggle you in as a roadie. And he was phenomenal, really. And you would think he was playing to a stadium, the amount of effort he put into everything. And so I went to see a number of times. They both were contracted to two different record labels, so they never recorded together, which I always thought was a great shame. And then Rod went off and formed a group with Long John Baldry and Julie Driscoll and Brian Auger. And the Soul Agents were not the same band and kind of disappeared. Now, I used to buy all the weekly music papers, Sounds, Melody Maker, New Musical Express, Record Mirror, etc., Disco Music Echo. And I read in it and said, we would like to see what our readers look like, and they should write down their likes and, musical likes and what they love to do. So I thought, so I sent this photograph of myself and put my likes in it. And one of the things I put in is wondering what's happened to Don Shin and the Soul Agents. And much to my surprise, a couple of weeks later, they reprinted it in this magazine. And about a week following that, week or a week and a half later, the postman started turning up with all these sort of fan letters. And there were over 600. And all from, mostly, I think, girls. And so my mother didn't appreciate it too much. But anyway, Don went on to do session work for a number of artists. And last year, or earlier part of this year, he sadly passed away. And I'd read in a paper that they were bringing out one of his solo albums, Temples with Prophets. Here it is. And it said that what they would be the vinyl album, which is this one here. Mm-hmm. There would be an EP, and there would be this. Oops. Falls on it. This illustrated booklet, and I doubt if you can see this too much, but there's Rod, there's the Solidgens as I first knew them, and there's them with Rod Stewart. And anyway, I'm looking through this thing and looking at their early listings, playing the Marquee Club and everything like that, and suddenly I see the picture of me from Record Mirror, and it says here, let's just have a look, Record Mirror, March the 30th, 1968. So I was 20 at the time. And how anybody had that picture before the internet is quite beyond me. But, and I put my hobby is photography. And in fact, one of the girls that wrote to me and said, she said, I took a picture once. And she said, I took a picture of our cat. And all it was a table, no cat. And she said, but unfortunately the cat moved. So, photography can have some really long-lasting effect. One thing it's nice for me is that it kind of rounded the circle with as a kind of a tribute to Don and his genius as a musician. But
I mean, what a life, Gray, from Graham Buckingham to Alice Cooper.
Yes, I gave myself a false name.
We have 5 minutes left. I'm just going to read a few comments there. Gray wants to show you a couple of things. So let's start with comments first real quick. So we've got, let me just find. So Greg just renewed his Nikon owner subscription. Thank you very much. We appreciate this. Michael Page says, I started my journey in 1969 after finding my granddaughter's Codex box for developing film and prints. He passed a couple of years before filming the box. Photography has helped me to remember him. That's absolutely amazing. Len says, I'd like to thank you both for making us feel welcome as a part of the family. You're very welcome, Len. It's a pleasure to see every one of you on a live stream every week. Let's see. Warren says, wonderful for capturing memories and personal events in your life and family and friends. We have the camera, so we are not in the picture, says Ian Moosen. Thank you very much, Randall. He says, I have taken many pictures of my dogs, but the latest one, named Lucky, a German Shepherd, is very playful. I have replaced many items which is rivaling my photography buying. Cheers. Well, Randall, thank God for very fast autofocus on our Nikon camera and Nikon cameras, and you've got all of them. So with a good lens, doesn't matter how quickly Lucky moves. I know it with my dog. She's a Hungarian Vizsla, and they're really, really fast. So Nikon equipment can definitely cope with autofocus on that, and you can capture. When they're running, they're like everything opens up, and you can see their teeth and everything. It's absolutely amazing. And Jay Blue says the most daunting thing I've had to photograph is Barack and Michelle Obama's at one of their inauguration balls in 2009. It was like being in a rugby scrum with other photographers.
I bet.
Well, if you get to photograph Donald Trump at his bigger ballroom, it's probably going to be a bit more spacious. That's all jokes I have about big ballroom. But Gray, show us another rare item that we recently acquired.
Yes. Well, this is really rather special. It's an F3T Classic. And this is a camera that they only produced 100 of them. The serial number here is 5000071, and it has a matched serial number 50mm 1.2 AIS lens. It was produced by Nikon for their long 50-year association with a camera company in Japan called Ando cameras for their 50th anniversary. It's got its plastic cover on the base and shutter cover here. Mm-hmm. It's brand new. It's uncirculated. Now, the F3T is a special version of the F3 High Eye Point, released in '82. Titanium is used for its right and top left-hand covers, the base plate, the camera back, and the pentaprism cover. Titanium is one of the world's strongest yet lightest materials. Initially, the camera was only available in a champagne-coloured finisher, although a black version was offered later. So there's 100 of these, mm-hmm. and this one comes in its maker's box, mm-hmm. its box for the lens, its shipping container with the details on there, its classic neck strap, Nikon cloth, and inside still sealed, the instructions and warranty card. It is quite a find, and we've been fortunate because only in the last few weeks we've had this one appear on the shores of Grays Westminster, and the black brand new Nikon F Apollo that I showed you last week. Oh, one other thing, this big cloth. It's also got here the Nippon Kogaku Tokyo logo, which was the name of the original company, Nippon Kogaku, Japan Optical it means. So that's it. That's a special I thought you might like to see.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's been a blast. Thank you, Gray. I appreciate your stories, as always.
Thank you. It's always a joy.
If you are into Halloween side of things, hope you enjoy your Halloween.
Don't go as Alice Cooper.
That's been taken already. But we'll see you next week around the same time. But I forgot to tell you, we did change the clocks in the UK last Sunday. So yes, some of you, I think, have missed us. But we're on a new schedule now, so do please check your local time. We are always on a British, Standard Time? Are we on summertime? What do we call it? BTS?
Well,
GPS?
I've lost it. Anyway, have no idea what
2:15 British time each Friday. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, GMT, Greenwich Mean Time.
That's right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend.